So you're wondering how to start a business with your best friend.
Just do it!
I'm convinced.
Well, I've done it. And some people, it could kill the friendship.
Over the line. You're so far past the line that you can't even see the line. The line is a dot to you.
Some people, it could make the relationship stronger.
That all the pieces of my life are falling right into place.
So let's talk about what that's going to look like. I'm Amy Walker. I'm a small business strategist, and I have helped hundreds of small business owners build their business to 6 and 7 figures, and I know you can do it too. I also, last year during the pandemic, thought, hey, why not start a business with my business bestie? We had some concerns, she and I, like, is our relationship really strong enough? Is this really going to work? And I'm going to walk you through today the process that we went through as we were setting up this company. So first, I'm going to cover the reasons why you should or should not start a business with your best friend. Second, we're going to talk about how you break up and how you plan the breakup before you even get started so you never have to break up.
Whoa!
Third, we're going to cover how to make your relationship anti-fragile so you can withstand all of the challenges that come running your business.
I gotta do what I gotta do. You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
And fourth, we're going to give you the recipe for how to manage conflict. And you get to meet my business bestie and my podcast co-host, Dr. Monica Ogando. Monica, you and I have been friends for a long time. I know, a long time. Long enough that you know all of my ins and outs and all of my strengths and all my weaknesses.
And deep dark secrets.
You still decided to go into business with me on our podcast. So let's talk about, because a lot of people ask the question, like, should I go into business with my best friend? How would that look? What should I do? So let's give them the scoop.
Okay. First of all, don't. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. The first thing that you have to do when you decide to go into business with a best friend or with a friend that you deeply honor and respect, as I do with Amy, is to understand what strengths they're bringing and what strengths you're bringing, such that you guys are better together. It's kind of like that Neo song, I'm a movement by myself, but we're a force when we're together.
I'm a movement by myself, but I'm a force when we're together.
It's kind of like that, you know? So you have to first determine that. And then secondly, what weaknesses they can compensate for, and which of their weaknesses you can compensate for.
You can't do anything.
I think you and I, Amy, do that very well.
Yeah, for sure. Because like I am the master. I blow Monica's mind all the time with like my ability to get a lot done in a short space. She'll be like, oh yeah, let's talk about that. I'm like, no, we're not going to talk about it. We're going to do it and it's going to be done. And so I think my efficiency is really a benefit to our partnership. But then I think for you have like this wisdom and this perspective that sometimes I tend to get short-sighted and feel like everything has to happen now. And you're like, no, we're just testing it. Like, let's test the market, see what the market says. And, if this deadline is not working, then let's change the deadline. And so I think that we really do balance each other out really well.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Now, let me ask a follow-up question though. Would you go into business with a best friend that had really similar strengths and weaknesses as you?
No.
I don't think I would either.
No. Because what's the point? You're just double of me.
Okay, this is a question for science fiction writers.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing is in order to go into business together, you need to be able to accomplish something together that you could not do on your own. And sometimes when people go into business with their bestie, it's more of a security blanket because I'm afraid to do it on my own. So I'm going to bring someone along with me. And it's not like a strategic, we should be doing business together.
Yes, that's right. That's right. The second thing that I would add to that is that once you've discovered what is it that you're trying to accomplish that you can accomplish faster or more efficiently together than you would on your own, then the second thing is plan for the divorce before you get married.
Yeah.
And you and I always talk about and tease about that we have a prenup. But we literally sat down and said, how do I know that you're over me?
Right.
How do I know that you're mad or that you're frustrated or, where do you go when you're in your toxic self or in your angry self or et cetera, we actually had that conversation.
Yeah.
And it's the best time to have that conversation is when you don't need to have that conversation, so that when you do need to have that conversation, you could just review instead of explore dark corners that you've never seen before, right? So that was a great time of confession and of vulnerability, and it made our friendship and our business partnership what some people call anti-fragile.
Well, if you don't know that, then I don't want to do this with you.
Here's what I mean by that. There are some relationships that are very fragile, and it takes a little bit of stress on it and they break.
But if I'd have known what kind of friend you were going to turn out to be, I wouldn't have worried about it so much. See you around.
And then there are some partnerships and friendships and connections that are resilient. They're
Yeah.
kind of in the middle, and you put stress on it, it's like, okay, we're gonna make it.
Come on, do something.
I am. I'm ignoring you.
And then there's the other side of the spectrum, which is anti-fragile. And those are the ones that when you put stress on them, they get stronger. And so I believe that our partnership, Amy, is anti-fragile.
That makes me like feel happy,
It does, doesn't it?
heart happy. Yeah.
Well, is that your version of saying I was about to cry, but you didn't admit it?
Maybe.
So anti-fragile is when you put stress on a relationship or on a partnership, and it actually makes it stronger. Now, you're not doing that to test it, like, ooh, let me see how special I am to this person. Let me see how much I can sabotage this thing. That's not the point.
I knew you could take care of yourself.
Life is stressful enough, and you will have enough, tension moments without you having to impute them on the partnership. And when you have that prenup conversation of how do we know we're over, or how do we know we're complete, or how do I know that you are overwhelmed or stressed or angry or resentful, and how do we get ourselves into a state of grace with one another, which I'll talk about the grace talk in a little bit. When you have that conversation before you need to, then when you need to, it's just a review instead of having to cobble the pieces back together that you've imploded.
Well, you did the right thing, man.
Thanks. I'm glad you see it that way.
I think it's important to note that it's not like we never have any challenges, right? We move really differently. And so I tend to move in like a frantic, fast pace. You tend to move in like a slow and steady pace. Yeah, you flow. And so we do have conflict, and we do have times when we're not in alignment, and we do have to have our like come to the table grace talks. But the fact that we have them is why we love working together. So you want to share the grace talk?
Yes, so the GRACE talk is an acronym. GRACE is an acronym, and it is the antidote to conflict and resentment and anger, et cetera, et cetera. You want to go from a place of conflict to a state of grace with whoever you're in relationship with, no matter how personal or impersonal, professional, deep, intimate, whatever. The G stands for a grievance, so you air out a grievance. And this, by the way, we don't have time to get into it, but I just want to give you the eagle's eye view so that you can understand, why this is so powerful. So you air out the grievance, you set container. Imagine if you were vomiting physically, you would have to, the first thing you do is go look for a barf bag, a toilet, something, right?
Unless you're Brendan and then you just puke on the floor and go, I just puked.
It's a talent.
It happens.
So you create containers so that the person understands that this is coming, and you're not just bombarding them with your resentment, etc. So you create permission, you create container, then you air out the grievance, and then there's a way that they can support you, that they can soothe that grievance, so that whatever part of you has that complaint can go from level whatever it is, from level 10 to like a level 0. Because once you're flat on it, then you can be proactive, then you can think clearly and objectively about this without feeling like this person is to blame or whatever the case may be. Once you do that, then you access the root. That's what the R in grace is. You access the root, because usually when this happens with somebody, that's not the first time that it has happened to you, period. So it might have been a pattern that you have seen since childhood, or it may be a proclivity. Like you would get mad at people being late because you're late. Or it might be a potential. You get mad at people doing stuff you wish you could do. It's a potential for you, right? So when you access that root, then you can get to a place of accountability, and you can answer the question, how did I create this? How did I create it with this person? How did I create this pattern, etc.? When you have discovered all of that, when you have acknowledged it or confessed it or been able to kind of like massage it out with this person. Now you can honestly and genuinely go to a state of gratitude. That's what the C is, come to gratitude. Because now you're like, I'm thankful that this conflict happened. I'm thankful that you triggered me in this way. Because now I have access to deeper wisdom that I wouldn't otherwise have had. And out of that place of coming to gratitude, now the E is execute on the agreement, whatever that agreement is. How are you going to move forward with this person? What's going to be different now? It may be that that person doesn't need to change their behavior at all. It may be that you just simply need to manage your expectations or your triggers or your emotions. Or it might be that there needs to be some new behavior. Like there was a time when you and I did a book retreat and it was like, okay, so can we have a deadline, please? Right? And so it's like, okay, so we have to come to an agreement, and then you execute on that agreement. If you don't execute on that agreement, if you don't be your word about that, guess what? You're back to square one, and now you have another grievance.
Oh, man, he promised he wouldn't take the chairs.
But if you keep doing that, eventually what'll happen is you have such a state of grace and accountability and trust, because you know that no matter how dark the vent or how deeply that you feel the resentment, that there's a safe place to put it and there's a way to get through it.
Look, he knows he did a terrible thing, and I believe him. He's sorry.
Absolutely. And I just think if you are going to go into business with a friend, you've got to go in prepared that you are not going to let things slide because they're your friend. You are going to address all the things because it is your friendship. And the way that you protect your friendship is by protecting that communication and holding each other accountable and not waiting until things are a big deal in order to address them, but addressing them as soon as they really become an issue, so that you're dealing with issues instead of dealing with emotions surrounding unaddressed issues.
Yeah, I mean, what will we do?
I think that's something that we've done really well. And I honestly feel like we create better content together. Like I had a radio show on my own and it flows so much more easily. It's so much more fun to be able to do this podcast together. And so I have absolutely loved working with you. And
it's not fluffy things. It's not fluffy things. Like we started our podcast in the middle of a very tumultuous time in the United States. That we were in the middle of COVID. The George Floyd murder had just happened. There were racial tensions that were really, accentuated. It's not like they weren't there before. It's just that they were really accentuated now. And here's a Black Latina woman and a white American woman talking, and what, we're not going to talk about this? Like the elephant in the room. So I think it was a testament to our friendship, but also about our professional skill to be able to come together in that way, because it created space. We had a great talk with our audience. It created a space for people to be able to vent that stuff out in a safe space. And I think it made us closer as professionals and closer as people, as humans.
Monica, thank you so much for being my biz bestie and for trusting me enough to come into partnership. I so appreciate you.
I love you too.
I'm sure you can tell I am extremely passionate about helping small business owners be successful. And I want to give you two things that I think are going to really make a difference. Number one, I want you to go check out our Biz Bestie playlist. This is where I share all of the advice that I would give to my best friend, which you just saw. She's pretty great. So go check it out. And if you're looking for more support in your sales and marketing, go to my Sales and Marketing GPS. You're going to be able to answer some questions. We're going to get a feel for where you're at. We will give you a customized improvement plan and go through it with you so that you can have clarity on exactly what you need to do to hit your next level of success. So my friend, it's time. Go click on that next video and I'll see you back soon.